But I will put it to you very simply and gently. I really haven't been treated right, but you haven't been treated right because you're putting yourself in great danger, and the United States hasn't been treated right. So if I don't win this election, and I've been very good, you know, they say Trump's been right about everything. I've been right about a lot of things. Even Ted will admit that. I've been right about a lot of things that a lot of people said, no, that won't happen, but a lot of bad things happened, and some good things I've been right about, too. And I only want to be, so I'm not going to call this as a prediction, but in my opinion, the Jewish people would have a lot to do with a loss if I'm at 40%. If I'm at 40%, think of it, that means 60% are voting for Kamala, who in particular is a bad Democrat. The Democrats are bad to Israel, very bad. They'll never change because they have a section of their party now which has become amazingly and quickly very powerful vote-wise. I mean, Chuck Schumer is a Palestinian. Who would have thought that was going to happen? What the hell happened to him? I saw him the other day. He was dressed in one of their robes, you know.
As Donald Trump continues to see that people from every demographic are getting as far away from him as possible, his dictatorial impulses are popping up more and more.
If I don't win this election, and the Jewish people would really have a lot to do with that if that happens, because at 40%, that means 60% of the people are voting for the enemy.
The enemy. The Jewish people would have a lot to do with disappointing me. And when I see polling that shows you're not loyal to me because of my sweeping and archaic belief that every Jewish person should vote with Netanyahu's interests in mind, I won't be very happy.
Bad news, a poll, I just told you how good the polls are, but we need every vote we can get. The current polling has me with Jewish citizens, Jewish people that's supposed to love Israel. After having done all of that, having been the best president, the greatest president by far, a poll just came out. I'm at 40%. That means you got 60% voting for somebody that hates Israel. And I say it's going to happen. It's only because of the Democrat hold or curse on you. You can't let this happen. 40% is not acceptable because we have an election to win.
These folks aren't insulted yet? This guy decided to talk down to Jewish voters about how it's unacceptable to not vote for him unless they hate Israel. His basis of how great he is as simple as saying, I was the greatest president by far, and my opponent hates Israel. He thinks that he's the arbiter of everyone's reality just because he's convinced MAGA supporters to live in his.
With all I have done for Israel, I received only 24% of the vote, but I understood that. That was in 2016. And, you know, it's one of those things. I thought I'd do much better. I happen to have a Jewish daughter. I have a Jewish son-in-law. I have 3 Jewish grandchildren. I thought I'd do much better. But I only got 24%.
Look at what I sacrificed for you people. I let my daughter marry a Jewish man and allowed him to impregnate her with Jewish children. He's been amped up for damn near a decade, and he's been rewarded for his extreme bigotry so much that he thinks these positions are reasons to vote for him. Literally everything that he does is transactional, where he comes out getting more in that deal. It's a mindset that's extremely dangerous for a president to have.
Miriam mentioned 4 or 5 of the things, those each individual thing. Oh, her husband would drive me crazy. You have to do this, you have to do that. You don't know what I had to put up with. She was like the calming influence. I said, Sheldon, I can't do that. It's too much. He said, no. And every time I got something, he'd immediately start with something else, right? He'd get something, always fighting for Israel and the Jewish people. But, you know, I had such great respect for him. It's true, though. She had to sometimes tell him, calm down. You just had a big victory. Let's celebrate. No, we have to immediately start. Let's see if we can do Golan Heights. How about Golan Heights? They've been trying to get it for 72 years. I got it done in about 15 minutes, okay? So, even Sheldon couldn't believe that one, I'll tell you. Even Sheldon couldn't believe that one. He said, we just got Golan Heights. They didn't even ask for it. I actually gave you that one. You didn't ask for it.
They didn't even ask for it. I gave you Golan Heights because it was mine to distribute to whomever I wanted. That, after you kept asking for more and more, you greedy people. Don't you have enough? This is what it sounds like. This is what he's saying.
Now we're going to defeat Kamala Harris. You have to defeat Kamala Harris. More than any other people on earth, Israel, I believe, has to defeat her. You know that? And I've never said this before. I'm thinking, Miriam, more than any people on earth, Israel has to defeat her. I really believe that it's a disaster for Israel. And you know why, and you've heard her statements.
Did someone give him a summary of the most anti-Semitic things to say for this event? And since when did Donald Trump openly advocate for a foreign country to decide an American election? I mean, we already do know that he's open to people that he looks up to, like Vladimir Putin and Viktor Orban, to have a hand in deciding our elections. But the idea that Israel has to defeat VP Harris brings his count up to 3 countries that he thinks should determine American elections.
I have never seen anything like it, where something has gone so down so fast, where even Jewish people are protesting in these groups. They're Jewish people. People wearing yarmulkes are in these groups that are protesting with 100,000 people. So they have to change their way, because with your vote, you can reject anti-Semitism in our schools, in our communities, in our foreign policy, and in our immigration system. But all of that starts by rejecting Kamala Harris at the ballot box.
Jewish people protesting with yarmulkes on need to change their ways, he says. How should Jewish people with freedom of speech change their ways? How does he plan on making these folks change their ways? He already declared that it's unacceptable for them to have their own opinions and voices. Not that he's willing to see where they're coming from or anything, so that he can appeal to their concerns, but that they need to live up to his expectations and change it. He's this emboldened because enough Republicans have obeyed his demands and have provided cover for him.
And it has only to do with one thing. Anti-Semitism is on the rise, and there are people who feel like now is the time to let it out, and it is ugly.
It is ugly, and that's why we shouldn't nominate a president who dines with white supremacists, who makes one of his key allies.
If you want to make apologies for it on the left, go ahead.
I'm not going to make apologies.
No,
you are denying that exists on the right. You are stumping for Trump in a way that tries to ignore that he himself dined with a white supremacist. He's cozied up to Marjorie Jewish.
You're making a tactical argument, and everybody sitting at this table knows where the source of anti-Semitism is in this country. It is not on the right.
Wait, did Trump? No, hold on. Did Trump dine with Nick Fuentes? Is Nick Fuentes a white supremacist?
He did dine with Nick Fuentes.
Is he a white supremacist?
He should not have done that.
Yeah. Okay, great. Okay, so now we know that it is not only.
Right, so you're saying one person who got invited to a stupid dinner versus the thousands upon thousands upon thousands of progressive activists in the streets, that's the equivocation?
Man, we've gotten to this point because the former president's calculations were accurate about one thing. Basing his political identity off of his raging bigotry has inspired this many Americans to proudly place their own superiority complexes above the country's existence. He can live in his own false existence and tell them to worship him in it, regardless of how detached from reality he is on everything.
And let me tell you, I won that debate by a lot. By a lot. You know, I walked off the stage, I said, man, did I beat her, even though I was against 3 people.